Have you ever wondered why we sleep in one long stretch, from night until morning? Was it always like this? The truth is, no. Hundreds of years ago, humans did not sleep the way we do today. Their nights were divided into two sleeps. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine this. No electricity. No buzzing phones. No streetlights glowing outside your window. The sun sets, the sky turns a deep blue, and shadows stretch across empty streets. Shops close, windows shut, and fires burn softly in clay lamps. People don't stay awake until midnight. They finish their meals early, whisper their prayers, lie down on straw beds or wooden frames covered with wool and linen, and slowly, the village sinks into silence. This is the beginning of first sleep. For a few hours, the world is at rest. Mothers sleep beside their children, farmers rest their tired bones, and shepherds dream of morning light. The sound of wind moving through trees, the distant bark of a dog, and the slow, calm breathing of people fills the darkness. But here's where it becomes different from our world. Around midnight, something strange happens. Almost every person naturally begins to wake up. Not all at once, not with shock or fear, but gently, as if the night itself is nudging them awake. Their eyes open, not because of a noise or stress, but because this was how the body worked. This time, these quiet hours between the first sleep and the second sleep had a name. In Latin, some monks called it vigilum, the waking. Common people simply called it the midnight watch. What did they do during this time? Some stayed in bed, whispering prayers. Old diaries mention people reciting psalms, thanking God for peace, or praying for protection from spirits that were believed to wander at night. Others quietly got up. They added wood to the fire or checked on the animals. Some sat outside under the sky, watching stars without the glow of city lights. In small cottages, husbands and wives whispered to each other, calmly and lovingly. It was said to be a time of peace, when thoughts were clearer and hearts softer. A few people wrote letters by candlelight. Some midwives visited new mothers. Neighbors who couldn't sleep would gently knock on each other's doors. No one found it strange. Why? Because everyone knew this wasn't the end of sleep. It was only the pause between the two parts of the night. After about an hour, maybe two, their bodies would grow heavy again. They would lie down, pull their blankets close, and drift into a second sleeper, deeper, calmer rest that continued until dawn. This was life for centuries. In Europe, Asia, the Middle East, and Africa, this pattern of sleeping twice a night was completely normal. It's written in old books, doctors, journals, letters, and even court records. People talked about first sleep and second sleep, just like we talk about breakfast and dinner. It wasn't fantasy. It was reality. But then, something happened that changed everything. Something powerful enough to break nature's rhythm and steal this peaceful way of sleeping forever. Factories, clocks, gas lamps, work hours, sirens, deadlines. The Industrial Revolution. For thousands of years, our ancestors slept in a way that might seem strange to us now. They didn't sleep in one long block. They had two gentle stages, a first sleep and a second sleep. They'd go to bed when darkness fell, sleep for a few hours, wake up for an hour or two in the middle of the night, and then fall back asleep until morning. This was completely normal. But then, everything changed. And it didn't happen slowly or naturally. It was sudden, driven by a powerful force. The Industrial Revolution. Starting in the late 1700s, the world transformed. Smoke billowed from towering brick chimneys as factories replaced farms. Workers took the place of shepherds. And for the very first time, time itself became money. Clocks, once rare sights in churches or town halls, were now mounted at factory entrances. Workers had to punch in exactly when the bell rang. 5 a.m., 6 a.m., no excuses. Life no longer flowed with the rhythm of the sun. It marched to the beat of the clock. This new, rigid schedule made the old way of sleeping impossible. People could no longer wake up naturally between their first and second sleep. Why? Because factory shifts were brutally long, often 12, sometimes even 14 hours. By the time workers dragged themselves home, they were utterly exhausted. They didn't want to separate sleeps. They craved one single block of rest, continuous, deep, and as quick as they could get it. Then came another game changer: artificial lights. First gas lamps, then the electric light bulb. Before this, night was truly dark. If you stepped outside after sunset, the world was painted in shades of silver and black, with only the moon and stars to guide you. But suddenly, cities began to glow. Streets were bathed in light, shops stayed open later, and people stayed awake well past midnight, talking, socializing, and reading newspapers under the bright glare of street lamps. Night was no longer just for resting. It had become a second daytime. As the world brightened, doctors and scholars noticed something peculiar. People stopped talking about first sleep and second sleep. If you look at letters and diaries from the 1800s, you can see the terms just ... disappear. Slowly, quietly, the ancient rhythm of the night vanished from our collective memory. By the early 1900s, it was almost completely forgotten. A child born in 1900 grew up believing, just as we do today, that sleep is meant to be one long, uninterrupted block. But here's the fascinating part: our bodies remember. Modern scientific studies have revealed something incredible. When volunteers are placed in an environment without any artificial light, no phones, no screens, no lab sand, their days are guided only by the natural sunset and sunrise. A magical thing happens. For the first few days, they sleep a lot, catching up on a lifetime of sleep debt. But then, their pattern shifts. They start to sleep early, wake up for an hour or two in the peaceful darkness, and then fall back into a second sleep. Just like their ancestors, their bodies naturally revert to that ancient Baphosic rhythm. So, what does this all mean for us? Maybe we were never designed for one long, forced sleep. Perhaps the modern world, with its alarms, deadlines, and the constant blue light from our screens, has broken something natural inside us. And maybe, just maybe, that's why so many of us find ourselves lying awake at 2 or 3 a.m., staring at the ceiling, convinced that something is wrong with us. But what if nothing is wrong? What if, in those quiet, middle-of-the-night hours, your body is simply remembering the way humans were always meant to sleep? Tonight, when you close your eyes, take a moment. Imagine the world as it once was: silent streets, the soft flicker of candlelight, a sky full of stars. And ask yourself, when we conquered the night, did we lose more than just our sleep? Thank you so much for watching. If you found this interesting, please give this video a like and consider subscribing for more journeys into the hidden corners of our world. See you next time.